Hello, my name is Dr. Raghu Savalgi, Chairman of SPLAR and SPLAR Foundation. I am giving this talk from United States, East Coast, State of Connecticut and City of New Haven from SPLAR and SPLAR Foundation office. Let me give you introduction to SPLAR and SPLAR Foundation. I have an accomplished career in surgery, and after 22 years, I decided to become a philanthropist and a multidisciplinary scholar to accomplish rather my ultimate ambitions in life. And I was greatly passionate about doing philanthropic work, and I'm so glad that I had those ambitions when I was young, and I'm also very glad that I was able to start implementing them at a relatively early stage of my life. When I received one of the highest honors of Royal College of Surgeons of England, that is a Hunterian professorship, for the work I did at the age of 31. It was an enlightenment to me for a couple of reasons. First, I was very glad that I could accomplish with so many difficulties on the way. But I was also thrilled to understand some other concepts in life. During same time, I called some of my friends who were my high school buddies and told them, and I became a Hunterian, and it is a very great honor. It is respected almost like a Nobel Prize in surgery since many years, 1804, after John Hunter died. Then my friend said, I know it is a great achievement, but our senior guy in our high school, he has become more noted than you are. I said, who is that guy? Then they reminded me about a guy who was few years senior to us in high school, and he used to talk all the time of beating somebody, of killing somebody, and all the time you would see him engaged in a thought process related to violence. And they told me, you have become a noted surgeon and you operate on patients after putting them to sleep. But this guy joined a gang, and in the gang he became sub-leader next to that top leader. Then there was some fight between the top leader and this guy who had many supporters, and he made them to tie that leader and cut both of his hands, and that guy died. So they were telling me, this guy operates on people without giving any anesthesia. Then his name appeared all over the national newspapers and international scenes and so forth. So maybe he's more noted than you are. It was a joke, but in that joke there was a very great meaning. I had very good teachers, very good family, and all the time I was thinking about very high goals and some of the things which were my dreams. And obviously many of my school teachers thought that I am too ambitious, but not too ambitious. Later I achieved far more things than I thought I would. And the only difference between me and the guy who killed somebody and went to jail was, he was all the time thinking of killing somebody and he achieved his goal, and I was thinking all the time of achieving some good things, and I did achieve many good things. So the grassroots level problem is what kind of thought, intent and emotion you entertain. And that became a revelation for me. And when I was a medical student, I used to think that I should discover something which helps all the patients, not only patients, everybody. And then I became an MD, PhD, and with many publications to my credit. Later, at some stage, I realized it is not possible to discover any operation which helps everybody, or any medicine which helps everybody. But at a later stage in my own career, when I was spent about 22 years in a surgical career with many sleepless nights and so forth, I realized one thing that helps everybody, that has helped every human being, and that will help every human being, is training our own consciousness. Then I took scientific interest in study of consciousness as the science of consciousness. And another term for this is noetic sciences, and try to relate how consciousness is the basis of time, matter and space. It is beyond the scope of the current lecture to explain the scientific basis of this, but it is far easier to modulate consciousness in a very strategic, most efficient fashion so that the material manifestations take place. And for not understanding this formula, many people have remained poor, many developing countries have remained poor. They are not trying to address the essential problem. They try to just whitewash some superficial problem. Then of course it is very, very good, but not so good. Therefore, I devised few concepts. One of them is process of life advancement research. I did a lot of academic work pertaining to operations and diseases, and I have done a lot of work in relation to surgical oncology, later on laparoscopic surgery, later on information technology like telemedicine, telehealth and so many things. And later I became a multidisciplinary scholar, and now my academic and practical interests, I would say practical because I want to see them being done by people, not just publish a paper which sits in some journal and very few people may read. They expand medicine for physicians, medicine for general public health, then science and technology, and then creativity and business management, and above all philanthropy and noetic sciences. Therefore, I developed many terminology, and one of them is transcendentology. Transcendentology is a non-religious term. Transcend. Transcend means exceed our limits. Transcendentology is to help a human being how he can achieve more than what he thinks he can, and we call it as the science of consciousness. If people don't understand this, it will be very difficult for them to achieve good many things. That's why this science is very important. And many Western countries, both in North America and Europe, have become very successful because with or without their knowledge, they have understood some formulas. And some developing countries are also trying to understand those concepts, and they are becoming more and more successful. Look at China and India. Within another 20 years, they may take over as the superpowers, and their economy is booming when the economy in North America and Europe is struggling to show growth, a 3% or 4%. So many times we have seen growth in China and India 6%, 7% and more. This is just amazing. Are they poor countries? Still they are poor countries, because you cannot make those whole countries rich and well-to-do. Only thing is, in comparison with 20 years ago, what they were, they are better off. And of course, they have added some new problems because of the population growth. Because many people do not understand that population is very important to control, and many times they have failed there, but their economy and growth, they are very good. There are some lessons to be learned. Now, based on the science of consciousness, I devised many principles which are applicable in modern medicine, in science and technology, in creativity and business management, and in philanthropy and noetic sciences. So though these areas look so diverse, so different, for me they all look same. And very fortunately, I have qualification in the field of medicine, science, surgery, information technology, business management, and I have myself studied many of the specialties, and I have contributed to development of a few new disciplines. They are not just one innovation. It is a stream of innovations eventually lead to some major disciplines. And we have developed many glossaries and concepts in relation to science of consciousness and how we can produce measurable results in the field of medicine, in the field of science and technology, and in the field of business management, and in the field of noetic sciences and philanthropy. The ultimate purpose in life is philanthropy, because you want to become rich. Okay, why do you want to become rich? Then if you misuse your wealth, which will not do any good to you. The real joy in creating wealth is to spend it for good cause. That is where the real bliss takes place in our own different planes of our mind. So the essential principle of SPLAR and SPLAR Foundation is how we can train our consciousness using strategic methods so that they manifest as a great success, especially for developing countries and underprivileged people around the world, in 4 areas. 1. Modern medicine for physicians and public health for civilians. Science and technology, business management, philanthropy and noetic sciences. And to explain all of them in detail is beyond the scope of the current lecture, but when I do visit your country, I hope I will explain them with a greater detail. When we look into the lives of great people, many of them were not rich. Many of them were very hard working. There were not many miracles involved in the lives of great people. And let us take, for example, some of the role models for SPLAR and SPLAR Foundation. And say, look into Mahatma Gandhi. He was a middle-class Asian who completed barrister degree in law, which is very difficult to do. And he could have led a successful, peaceful life. If you call not doing all that he did is not a peaceful thing. But he went to South Africa. And then, because of one discrimination, he decided to fight it out with non-violence and with absolute truth. He is one of the few persons in the history of mankind who took simple principles and made them so powerful that it was difficult even for big empires to face. He spent many years in South Africa fighting in a country which was not his country and tried to bring some justice to that country. Justice in that country. Later, that was the beginning of South African freedom. Here there is a lesson to learn. He was not rich, he was very determined. And he had love and kindness for people. He said that he will die for truth, but he will not kill anybody. This is a very bold statement. And many people wonder why they should go to some other country and help. No. It is very important to go to countries from where you have nothing to expect from and try to do good work. Look at Mother Teresa. She went from her own home country to India, to a city of Calcutta, which is a busy city with so many problems, and spends her whole life just to help, few people. Don't think that Mother Teresa helped every orphan or every poor man in Calcutta. Impossible. But her inspiration was so important. It is used as a point of inspiration not only in the city of Calcutta, not only in India, not only in Asia, all over the world. These people walked through time and space to leave some ideological events which inspire for many, many years to come. And you will perceive, if you do attend my talks on consciousness as the basis of time, matter and space, many of those events are actually stored in the universal memory. They just don't go away. They are stored, and again there are many scientific explanations to explain how they are stored, but I will leave it to some other talks. Now look at Edison and Ford. Edison and Ford were poorer than many of you who are listening to these lectures. They were from middle class or even below middle class families. And today, if Edison and Ford come from their grave and stand in front of some of the top institutions in the United States or Europe or even in developing countries, they will not be allowed to walk in the campuses because they will be classified as dull people without any qualifications. And Edison turned out to be a multimillionaire, and Ford turned out to be another multimillionaire, and Ford company still produces good service for Americans and for many other countries. And Edison innovated, which changed the world forever. If we did not have Edison and Edison's innovation, today you will not be listening. They were all pioneering beginning points for recording of voice and transmission of voice and so forth. Was he a rich man? No. He started his laboratory in a train, unused compartment. And I have taken a lot of interest to develop innovation techniques, and I will demonstrate to any physician, any allied health worker, or any entrepreneur or any person anywhere in any part of the world how he can do extraordinary innovative research from a small village. There are ways to understand what is innovation cycle and implement them. And it is very important to understand them. And I do conduct a workshop for physicians and allied health workers, and the same subtitles in some different format. I conduct them for others. And this 2 days event will include half day on innovation cycles, the other half day on science and technology. Then the next half day, the first half day, is on American Super MBA. We say Super MBA because it is not just MBA review, but it includes many other reviews. And the last half day is on noetic sciences. Many times, the deans of the medical schools, they look at these titles and they think this is not a subject. Or I know these subjects, we don't want, some of them understand. And almost all of them, once they listen to what I am talking, they understand from where I am coming from. There are specific topics where people go and give talk. That is what I did more than 20 years and made a lot of money from developing countries and developed countries. But these 4 topics I have chosen because they touch the grassroots and they lead to transformation, or at least give insight into why a developed nation is developed and why a developing nation is not developed. It is not by some poor doctor sitting in some poor country listening to an American and learning one topic and say, right, that's it. It is important to listen to. We want to encourage Western doctors to go to small villages and to give talk, and we also try to help them. But that is not the end of it. That's why I formed the Society for Clinical Research, Science and Technology for physicians, and they do go through this 2 days training to understand some of the concepts, how they can transform their country. It is not just he transforming himself. It is about how he can transform himself and also his country. There are many economic principles involved, and many of the medical schools in developing countries don't even focus them. And in Western countries, they don't focus because it is not necessary. They are already in the lead. And if the developing countries do not focus on some of these subjects and do not improvise, then they will remain slave for another 1,000 years. Unless you understand the innovation cycle, whether you are rich or poor, whether you are rich country or poor country, try to have a strategic methods where you jump into that innovation cycle and create a competitive advantage for yourself despite poverty, or make poverty as a tool for success, like Edison and Ford. Edison and Ford were not rich people to start with. Otherwise, for many years to come, the medical area will remain primitive in developing countries. One doctor goes to America or to Europe and spends 2 years or 3 years, and either he stays there and says that he has become a great guy, or he goes back to the country and will make himself an eternal slave of Western countries. That is not the goal of this society. The goal of this society for clinical research, science and technology is threefold. One, to promote clinical research. It is not same as you think. Some of them could be same, but the Western models of innovation are not fully applicable in developing countries. They want to implement exactly same model. It's not possible. In poor countries, the economic factors are different. So there is a lot of financial basis for academia. Then the second thing is to promote international relationships. The wonderful, very good-hearted physicians, surgeons, allied health workers in North America and Europe who are very keen to come to your country and to teach and go back. It is very important to acquire specific knowledge. That is the function of this society too. And third, and most important thing is to engage in philanthropy. It is a tragedy that many physicians and surgeons go to medicine to help humanity, and after 5 years or so they graduate. All they are focusing is to earn money, to battle with rivals, spend 80% of your time in bureaucracy and scoring over your colleagues. Otherwise they won't allow you to do any work or face racial discriminations. Why? It is not necessary. If physicians and allied health workers are weak, they are weak in management. You see, there was one principle before the concept of MBA came into existence. MBA concept was innovated by Americans. America should be given a big credit about starting a concept like MBA. There was no MBA before. People believed, I live or you live. That used to be the goal of society in any wars and etc. These MBA guys were the first guys where they brought a concept where I will live with profit, you also live with profit. See, this concept is very nice. And doctors and many people would have understood the least about these concepts. And once I train them, how they can jump into innovation cycle with bare hand amidst poverty, like Edison and like Ford, they will understand how they can transform their country. Some countries are already understanding and they are showing great progress, like China and India. They are, if I order a computer, I think it comes from my next door. No, it comes from Hong Kong or some other country. And if I call any customer service support, many times these guys are sitting in India. And some cities like Bangalore is transformed. There are some 500,000 people, I think 500,000 or more, I'm approximately accurate, people do call services. How? Now, I'm not telling you should do all call services outsourced. No, I'm talking about making each developing country to jump into the innovation cycle that is going on in the world. There are some strategic methods. If you understand them, it doesn't matter how backward you are today, but you can be the front runner, frontline contestant. And these are the strategies I teach in my workshop. And no doctor or allied health worker or businessman should ever say that he can't do research because he has no facilities. I will tell you 100 methods how you can do research with 0 facilities, because you need to know how to translate your disadvantages into advantages. That is the secret of innovation, both in the field of medicine, science and technology, and also in the field of business management and philanthropy and so forth. Philanthropists don't think just gathering some money and wasting it. I started these foundations and all this work with my hard-earned money, and I had to accept a much simpler life with a tremendous support from my friends and my family and my relatives, and my many friends gathered, many friends from North America, Europe and Asia, Africa, Australia, Latin America, and they respected me, though I'm a simple guy with very many accomplishments. That's true. I have many qualifications, but still, I was not noted around the world. And recently, I was communicating with a developing country, and I proposed these subjects, about the society. What is the goal of this? Is a new concept. This is relatively new. I'm not expecting people all around the world to know, but I have a decent number of people who know, and I have invitations from more than 30 countries, and I wish I had all the finance to go to this country and start. But I am a great believer. The mission starts with our dream, and the dream has already started, is already being implemented. And I propose this society and these topics, and one of the persons in charge of that, she calls 2, 3, 10 people. I can't blame her, because she has to oblige her bosses, and they tell her that no, we don't know this person, and also these topics, we don't think these are topics, and we are not interested. So this is not an uncommon occurrence. And whenever such people listen to me once, they change their mind. Most of them, 99% of them, change their mind about what I'm trying to convey to them. If people want only a known person, then I suggested them they can invite a serial killer from North America. He'll be very well known. What happens in any area, if you are very active, people know for a few years around you. If you pick up a physician and ask him, tell me 10 names in medicine who received a Nobel Prize during last 10 years, he won't be able to. So, the publicity, these things are not the only criteria, it is the intent. And especially people like myself, I have shunned publicity and I have remained away from public arena. It is very difficult to become popular like a politician or something, because I am a simple surgeon turned philanthropist with a multidisciplinary knowledge and interested in good things. For me, this is good enough to go to any country, and this is how I become successful in many countries. And it is a shame that many developing countries, many institutional heads do not understand the relevance of innovation cycle, science and technology, business management and noetic sciences in making their profession, making their country unprecedented in their own history, and successful beyond their expectations. And the same principles apply in business management. I formed a society called SPLAR, Society for Money and Business Administration, and we have a 2-day workshop on business management. And this is we call as American Super MBA. It is a very popular workshop in Manhattan and Europe, and we conduct it in few places and in developing countries, because many people who do MBA, they become qualified clerks. That is not the aim of MBA. The entrepreneurs have extraordinary capability of starting new things, and I wanted to develop a course so that people learn the American MBA syllabus in brief, and also these entrepreneurial concepts. And it helped me immensely, as I am part of a few Millionaire Mind master groups, and they are so creative. It helped me tremendously to improve my own creativity and apply and develop this course. And people who complete this course will become members of SPLAR, Society for Money and Business Administration. And I would like to conduct many further courses and internet teaching sessions, distance learning sessions, and explore the possibility of creating alliances between developing country businesses and businesses in Europe and North America. It is not easy, but at least I can show them a pathway how they can do it. We also have office facilities for entrepreneurs in developing countries, where they can have an address and a telephone number and a fax number, but any other service will cost them local charges, because we have to hire people. But even having an office address, a telephone number, fax number in North America is not a joke. It costs a lot of money, and we have heavily subsidized them. That is the key. And we hope the entrepreneurs, Chamber of Commerce people, many business executives make use of all these things. And same thing with physicians, surgeons and allied health workers. We have developed one more scheme. This is for non-medical people. This we are already doing in one African country, Ivory Coast. Mr. Drummond Otera is in charge of that. We take undergraduate, graduate or undergraduate students who are so many of them sitting unemployed. We train them to how to screen for diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, how to reduce cholesterol, etc. We call them as prevention of executive disease program. Once they are trained, we expect them to go and get contracts to conduct these workshops in companies. And whatever money we get, we use it to pay as their salary. And if not, at least he can prevent these diseases in his own home. Then we have a section on tropical diseases and many other diseases. But why do we call prevention of executive diseases? As soon as Westerners like myself go from America or Europe, they start talking about AIDS. Then these people run away. You tell them prevention of executive diseases, after teaching these diseases are equally common in these poor countries. Don't think diabetes is a disease of only Western country, not at all. Now it is people know since many years now that diabetes occurs in thin people, amidst poverty and so forth. So once we say prevention of executive diseases, people come to listen and learn, and they are motivated. And if you say you come and learn and I will teach you, etc., people will come, but more number of people will come if you tell them, you come here, I will train you so that you can teach others. And there is a financial incentive. That guy, if he is very motivated, will give them, will certify them, and then we also teach about AIDS and everything. Don't start with AIDS. And I see many of my colleagues in North America and Europe, those countries, they have malaria and AIDS. They don't have just malaria and AIDS. They have same diseases like high blood pressure and obesity and all these things there. Why not start with some pleasant diseases at least to talk? If you say prevention of executive diseases, it becomes very good. And I have also proposed this to one of the ministries of health, and they have sent a representative that they want to develop a program on AIDS and etc. I said, don't say a prevention of AIDS program. Let us say American management program, and we'll conduct a 5 days workshop. We'll teach 2 days real business management reviews, 2 days on general principles of health, like vitamin deficiencies, all this diet and executive diseases. Let us teach them 2 days about AIDS, but create a motivation. Make them to pay small amount of fees. Don't give anything totally free. You give totally free, they throw in dustbin. Just because poor countries are poor, don't think that everybody sitting there in those countries is a great guy. There is a high amount of corruption. You have to supervise anything you spend, and we don't want to create a total authoritarian, total management authority on only local people, because many corrupt people and totally politically motivated or totally religiously motivated people may enter and start causing problems. So we have to create financially viable structures. That's why I developed a concept called as SPLAR UFO, Universal Financially Viable Organizations. So my goal will be to visit a country where I interact with local people. I am not going with a presumption that I am right and they are wrong. I am not going with a presumption that I am going there only to teach, because I have got to learn lots of things when I go to a new country. And by mixing my thought, intent and emotion with the thought, intent and emotion of local people, I develop projects. We already have many projects. We try to implement them because we have learned lessons from them, and we have learned many lessons and done mistakes before we have implemented in some countries. So they will be our priority because we know them. But I am open for any new ideas. Eventually, what we want to do is to promote philanthropic qualities amidst people and to help people at individual level, at an institutional level, and at a national level to develop in these sectors: health and science and technology, business management, philanthropy and noetic sciences. Noetic sciences is not a theory, it is a practicality, at a simple level or at an advanced level or at a complicated level. I made this video to appeal to many well-to-do people in North America, Europe and Australia. If you are interested to help underprivileged people in Western countries or developing countries, please contact me. Don't wait till you become a millionaire to become a philanthropist. I will tell you why. If you wait to become a millionaire, first of all, you may not become one. Second, because 1 to 3% of population are millionaires in a rich country like North America, and this percentage is much lower in many other Western countries. Secondly, the day you become a millionaire, it is very likely you will not even remember your philanthropic missions, because very few people devote their life and wealth for philanthropic work, because after having wealth alone is not the criteria. Having intent to help is an important factor. Third thing is, it doesn't matter how poor you are. There are strategic ways of start doing good things. The word strategic is very important. I can show you how with just $100 you can start a very important philanthropic work by strategic thinking. So if you are interested to participate in any of these activities or start a branch in any of the developing countries where I will make you in charge of that branch, please contact me, and all the contact details are shown in the end. The second and most important thing is, any developing country, people in developing countries are interested in any of these activities to start a SPLAR and SPLAR Foundation Center in their country, please contact me, and I will do everything I can to help you. The least thing I will do is to provide logistic support. I have studied this area and I know how you can start a center with your own finance and make it financially viable so that it helps thousands and thousands of people to be born or already born in your country, and there can't be better sense of satisfaction than this. And it is not our goal to create structures in developing countries which will depend from morning till evening on either North America or Europe. That is not the goal. And we will try to provide some seed money if we have. If you don't have seed money, still we will give you specific directions how you can start cash flow in your own country and make it a SPLAR UFO. UFO stands for Universal Financially Viable Organization. The rules of finance are as important as the rules for salvation, because if I cannot do many great things in my life, at least I want to improve the quality of health in some poor people, the kind of accommodation they live in, by improving their economic standards, by providing how they can help themselves to accomplish their goals. These are simple things, but according to me they're very precious for developing countries, especially the underprivileged people in these developing countries and also in developed countries. I have seen many very poor people in North America and Europe, and they need tremendous help. We want to help as many people as possible. If you understand the ultimate investment in your life is your own thought, intent and emotion, you have understood a great secret of life. Once you understand it is our own thought process has contributed to the development of this whole universe you see, based on more than 2000 scientific papers published in this area, you will perceive that the ultimate science is the science of consciousness, because that is the basis for our existence in many areas, in many dimensions. Therefore, I request you to give a careful consideration to all these items and factors and principles and entities I have mentioned in this talk. And if you are interested in any one of them, please let us know. Or if you are interested to develop new ones, then please let us know. We are very creative people, and we consider any ideas, and we have many courses already developed. We are running them, administering them in some African countries. They are CMIT, is a certificate in Management Information Systems and Technology, CMBA, a graduate certificate in Money and Business Administration, and we have many such certificates leading next level to diploma, next level to Doctor of Philosophy, etc. And we modulate them based on the local needs. It's very important. Don't go that this is the ultimate truth, and be prepared to change them, and we have to make them so that people are benefited by them. Many people who complete these certificate 1-year courses, diplomas 1-year courses, and so forth, they get jobs very easily. Many of them gotten promotions, and many of them are exposed to Western way of thinking also. We have to take good things from North America and Europe and imbibe them into your own culture, the culture of your country, whatever that is. Then you produce a originality of your own country, and that you should see that helps your country, help your brothers, sisters, friends, and yourself too. Our goal is to create triple millionaires from people from any strata, including destitutes. By saying triple millionaire, what I mean, we want to generate millionaires in wealth, innovation, and philanthropy from some of the very underprivileged groups like orphans, physically handicapped people, and many other segments. SPLAR Foundation administers a movement called as COPET movement, C-O-P-H-E-T. C-O-P-H-E-T, COPET. It stands for Care for the Orphans, Physically Handicapped, Health Care for the Poor and Elderly. Let me repeat, Care for the Orphans, Physically Handicapped, Health Care for the Poor, Elderly, and Terminally Ill. There are no facilities for terminally ill patients in developing countries. Then there are very few facilities for poor people, and it is such a disgrace to society to see elderly people not having health care, sleeping on the road. Do I mean that I will go and give money to all these guys? No. We have to create a self-sufficient mechanism in these countries, how they can create cash flow to serve them in long term. In short term, it is possible to apply for grants and get them, and we'll train in those techniques also. But eventually, there is nothing beyond self-sufficiency. And once a person understands the power of consciousness, his own consciousness, the collective consciousness of his country, he will understand he and his country can achieve anything they want. None of the very successful countries were very successful to start with. Look at North America. My country is a very young country, and that's why many of our behaviors are very adventurous, and like young boys, if you do find many of these concepts, it's okay. But I also have a British heritage, Asian heritage, Indian heritage, and what makes life interesting is seeing universality amidst all this diversity. I only used to read about finding unity in diversity and diversity in unity, and to some extent now I perceive it. I have qualifications in the field of medicine, surgery, science, technology, and information management, and I have presented or published more than 200 scientific papers in surgery, which included surgical oncology, laparoscopic surgery, information technology, and telemedicine, telesurgery, and so forth. I edited 25 books in surgery. With all this, my life was very unfulfilled. And that's why I had to start the ultimate stage of my life much earlier, because life is short. Life is short. You look at, recently I collected a video clip of Mahatma Gandhi and another video clip of Martin Luther King. Somebody asked Mahatma Gandhi, the previous day he was shot, that there may be threat to your life, and are you going to stop it? He said, no, I will continue whatever I want to do. And somebody asked a question to Martin Luther King the day before he died. the day before or the same day early morning, I don't know, but certainly during the previous 24 hours. And he asked, there is a threat to your life. Are you going to stop or how are you going to face? He said, I can't stop. You know the message? We should be doing what we really want to do sooner than later. People who wait, they wait forever. It is very easy to give one or the other excuse not to achieve things. And the only excuse we can ever give to not to achieve anything is ourselves. We are responsible for them. Does it mean that we will succeed in everything we try? Maybe not. But once we have thought, intent and emotion, we create a trajectory in the consciousness of your own life, of this universe, where you are moving all the time. The fun in life is not the end point. It is our journey to achieve the end point. I had many goals which were dumped as too ambitious, and in fact I achieved many of them 15-20 years before even I thought I will ever achieve it all. Do I remember them? Not at all. The fun was in achieving them, not after achieving them. After achieving, it becomes a history and you find great inspiration from them, and many times you fail. Then also you would have learned many lessons about life, and we keep progressing. The process of life advancement research is a dynamic concept about every smallest point that keeps moving in our life. Moving. It keeps moving even after we die. So the very movement of our life is life, not the static nature. So if you can't achieve big goal, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have big goal. Go and ask many great people who achieved many big goals. Did they know they would achieve? They didn't. Many of them thought they may not. But they tried. So at least I and many of you, despite being ordinary people, we can try to achieve big goals. The worst thing that can happen is we may not achieve. Forget about it, because the real fun of great goals is not in achieving them, in our pathway to achieve them. Once we achieve them, then there will be new sets of goals. Anyway, I hope this has given a kind of insight into SPLAR and SPLAR Foundation. It is very difficult to convey all these things, and because of my multiple qualifications and multidisciplinary knowledge and multidisciplinary activities, people get confused what SPLAR and SPLAR Foundation is doing. And in summary, if I had to say, if you wake up in the morning and feel that you have everything you need to achieve anything, because you are using your own consciousness as an investment capital. Second, you ask yourself, how many people I can help? A hand that opens to help others will be the hand which will receive. And third, very important thing you contemplate yourself is, I will help myself. You can ask help from any number of people, it doesn't matter. Some will say yes, some will say no. Okay, the meaning of no is next. But if nobody helps, still you will achieve. This is the real entrepreneurial spirit. An entrepreneur has already decided to achieve what he wants. He is only finding a way, and once you decide to achieve, start working. Then that becomes entrepreneurial mindset. I became interested, took interest in entrepreneurship because that would give the ultimate hope for society. And entrepreneurship is not just doing business, earning money and selling. No. Entrepreneurship is a methodology to realize your passion with little or no means. That's why you will see throughout history people became successful because they had entrepreneurial strategic way of thinking. So you may get confused with all this, but it is very simple. For me, I see unity in diversity at this stage of my life, and I want to share it with you also. And I hope I succeed in visiting all the countries and starting these branches, but I have to give preference to countries which are prepared to help themselves and to give us some support. And as I mentioned, some people want to invite only a noted person or somebody who can give them only a lot of money and so forth. It is your choice. Here we are to help you, and I have given a brief introduction, and if I visit your country I will give you in-depth and develop programs. We want to give great opportunities for local medical schools, allied health workers, and science and technology schools, business management schools, chambers of commerce, and many non-profit organizations and general public. Of course, we study and take only a small piece of activity at a time, because we entertain thousands of ideas, but we select one. And this selection has to be by interaction with local community. Don't sit in, say, in some African country and visualize all about, Europe. Then unless you go and see and study, it is very difficult. And also, don't worry how many people you can help. If you can help one person, it's good enough. And a lady was sitting in a plane when I was going to a country called as Ivory Coast, and she was very interested in my philanthropic missions, and she said, we are going there, etc. But she was telling, the population of Ivory Coast is 30 million. How are you going to give food to all people? How you are going to help everybody? I said, who said I will help everybody? I want to help everybody, but if I can help one person and come back, it is okay with me. Don't wait till you have capacity to help. Now, in Ivory Coast, in just a matter of 2.5 years, thousands and thousands of people, know me and know our activities, and we are spreading to Benin, and we are hoping to go to Ghana and many other countries. We are going to go to South America, etc. So we don't care whether anybody knows us or not. The human heart, the way it feels, the compassion, they are same universally. The coating is different. So you see different cakes, you see different coating. In European coating is different. North American coating is different. And this ice coating sometimes is very deceptive. Once you go to the deeper layers of this cake, the substance tastes sweet and is good. Similarly, some countries, until you know their tradition, their diversities, and keep our mind. I go to any country I visit as a student, and first 2 weeks I will be asking questions about so many simple, trivial things to understand. And once I feel educated, I also think I can teach few good things, or instead of teaching, I should say I share my life experience. So I very much hope I meet all of you one day, and we start centers throughout the world. There are 195 countries. We want to start one center in every country. Then if we start one center in every country, then we want to start more centers in the same country. Then we want to start one center in every heart, every living being, because the ultimate goal of SPLAR and SPLAR Foundation is to convey that thought, intent, emotion shape us, have shaped this universe, are the beginning and end point of this universe, and if we train ourselves systematically, the material success manifests. Thought first, then reality. This is the very basis of SPLAR. And don't forget to wake up in the morning and tell yourself you have everything to achieve anything you want. Ask yourself how many people you can help today, and tell yourself the third thing, I will help myself. These are very important 3 concepts. I hope you enjoyed this talk, and I hope I'll see you in your country. Thank you.